to 5 and now. All right, great. So, the last 25 years, what we were doing in Lagos was all about you cannot differentiate household waste from public waste, industrial waste, everything were all commingled. Nobody knew about cleansing the city. So nothing was stratified to show a well-articulated approach to solving the problem. So, like I said, no well-thought-out plan. 25 years ago, it was the military rule. The militaries are always skeptical. They are never having patience for professionals. Professionals will not thrive under the military. There was always this suspicion of trying to contest power and integrity with them. So professionals are always silent and quiet then. I was a young geologist then, so we were learning how not to do it then. Right, and I think we succeeded in learning how not to do it. We saw all the way they did it in a very, very bad way. Right, and all our bosses then were always afraid to even present their plan to the military guy. You can just lose your job at just the emotional slip of the military guy. You can destroy your 20, 30 years career. You know, the guy can just actually be locked up forever for even daring to argue with him on your plan. So people were timid, and people could not really contest present their opinion very well. So you have to listen, watch the emotion of the guy, and just tell him what he wants to hear. Massage his ego, and there was no development. There was just power management then. No proper governance, no proper development. All was just power management, and the country was just sliding off. Within the midst of plenty, we ended up in poverty. You know, the wealth were in the hands of a few, and that they were not able to deploy it to solve the problem of the larger member of the society. So that was what happened. And in waste management then, everybody saw the road as a public place where you can throw your waste and not just walk away. The drainage was just anything that's got to do that goes beyond your own immediate environment. And what we call it then, we call it the cockroach mentality. You know, the cockroach always want to look clean but live in the field environment. You know, the cockroach will look clean but will exist in the field environment. So it was all called the cockroach mentality. That was what existed then, you know. Everybody just clean your own room, your own compound is clean, but the environment can be as dirty as you want it. You can just heap your refuse, put on the road, and just walk away. And you allow government to come and scoop from the road. And government then was always going to the road to go and scoop. And it was kind of, very chaotic then, you know. And you wake up every morning, you see the road blocked with refuse. Your cars cannot even pass through the roads. And we didn't have value for the environment. And we started having very high level of diseases. You know, we're breeding a lot of disease vectors, you know, and things were just going bad and bad. People didn't have job to do, and people will vex their anger against society by dumping refuse on the road or block drainage canals. The canals are not well maintained, and everybody started thinking crazy because the environment was crazy. So it affected the psychic of people, you know. So that was the practice then, you know. It was a very horrible one. But right now it's a different ball game, you know, because we now believe development starts with cleanliness. You know, if you cannot be clean, then you don't think about any other development. If you cannot do the simple thing of cleaning your own environment. So we have the value now for our environment, and we believe we're human beings. We should live like human beings, and we should start by ensuring that we have a better environment for ourselves. So you can think clearly. And we're not just clean our environment. We see the waste management job as a tool of social reforms. We see it as a tool of job creation. We have close to 25,000 people working in waste management related jobs in Lagos right now. And we know the impact of one person that is properly engaged. You're indirectly impacting about 20 people. So we know the multiplier effect in keeping people busy by providing the essential. And we want to start our development from cleanliness maintaining our livelihood, reducing the cases of diseases in our society, and making sure that jobs are created and making people happy. Reduce even crime level also, because more people are now properly engaged. So rather than going to crime, they have jobs to do, and it's been a fantastic experience. Okay, but before the turning point, there was no real coordinated approach to solving the problem, where we had disjointed policies and disjointed approach, people working as individuals, not as a team then. So there was no shared vision then. So it was either you clean it today and you go back tomorrow, and so then too, the government, the administration then was not a democratic government. It was a government that was living for the day, right? So there was no long-term plans. The military, we don't want to listen to scientific approach to solving problem. They wanted a very mechanical approach, solve the problem today or never. They're never sure of tomorrow. So there was no clear-cut roadmap then. So we were just living by the day until the new democratic government started in 1999. And I think the first 4 years of the democratic government then was all about appraising the situation and how do we untangle the jigsaw and everything like that. So the first 4 years was all about planning to solve the problem. And the real solution started in 2003, a few years ago, when we now started having implementing the plan that on the ground. And what you've seen in Lagos was a product of stable government, right? That you can have both short-term, medium-term, and long-term projects. You can plan for 50 years, you can plan for 30 years, but at least you are sure of 4 years of government, and you know what you met, and when you are going to leave, you must improve on what you met on ground. So it's I think it's a product of pure democratic governance, and I think we were getting the benefit of it. That's what is happening. So it was just it was just as a result of instability in government then. But we have a stable government now. We have no excuse not to develop. I believe what happened was that we had people who were determined and they committed to change. And we had people who developed a plan for change. We had people who had the right vision for where they were and where we're going. So, and those people set at work a few years ago. And I think the product you're seeing today is the product of people who are determined to make a difference. And I think that's just it. It's a group of people, maybe myself inclusive. All right, we were a group of people that are determined to make a statement of change in how we do and our ways. That's what happened. When you look at 25 years ago, when you look at the waste stream, the Lagos waste stream 25 years ago is different from the waste stream now. And the quantity has actually changed, the characteristics has actually changed also. Talking about the density, the calorific values of those wastes, several parameters have changed all over the years. 25 years ago, you have on the waste stream that you look at typical domestic waste. Then you have more of vegetable waste. Vegetable component was almost about 60% of the waste. Then was about vegetable waste. Very wet, and because we had a communal collection system then, that there was no private storage of waste then. So it's all about pushing your garbage every day on the road, and this is a city where you have precipitation going as much as about 50 mm in some days, or 60 mm in some days, which is a lot. You have your waste always been damp, and having a very high water content. Then, and but this time around it's changing because we now have more of separate unit storage, household storage. The number of communal storage has actually reduced drastically. So 25 years ago, we have 95% of our storage being communal. So 95% of the waste are exposed to a lot of rainfall and the rest of it, and so it makes the waste to be very, very wet, the calorific value to be very, very low, and the water content very, very high then. The gravity then, the special gravity then was very high. But this time around, because you now have more households having containers in their houses, well, it's still low, but about 30% of households have containers in their houses right now, and others now have the habit of bagging their waste. So we will move to almost about 60% or 65% of separate unit storage, and the communal storage system probably about 30-35% right now. So the wastes are drier now than 25 years ago because of storage system, and the packaging strategy has also changed. We used to have a vegetable packaging then. This time around, you now have a more polythene being used in packaging. There's a local food. Most of the local foods that we used to use local leaves to pack, like fufu, eba, amala. Most of those things we used to have leaves and wrappers to pack them, and they are properly preserved and look, very tasty. Then, but this time around, we're not using polythene to pack them. So in those days, the vegetable component is always very high, and the rate at which the waste would biodegrade then was equally very high. Rather than now, where you now have the vegetable component has reduced from about 60 now to probably about 35, 40. All right, and whereas you now have more of the nylon packaging and stuff like that. Then when you look at the industrial waste also, 25 years ago, yes, we had more industries that are very active, and we were producing. Pharmaceutical companies were producing from virgin product. Here, paint industries were producing from virgin products, tire industries. So we have more dangerous industrial waste 25 years ago. But right now, it's reducing because of the poor infrastructure, declining revenue and stuff like that. Most of the industries folded up. Those who have not folded up, what they now do, they just do packaging here. They bring in their finished products and just do packaging. So the quality of the industrial waste of actually they're not as toxic as before. They're not as dangerous as before, and you have more of packaging of this industrial waste, and actually they've reduced because we are now consuming more imported products from China and the rest of it rather than manufacturing. We used to manufacture textile, we used to manufacture most of these products, but it's now reducing. We're now bringing finished products, and what used to be industrial waste are now going back to household waste. So you can really talk about the evolution of governance, the socioeconomic status, and it's reflecting on the waste taxonomy that we have right now going on, and so many other things that the characteristics of the waste actually changed. All right. Right now, we make compost, and actually we are the biggest compost producer in Africa right now. Yeah, we don't have I don't know, maybe if you know, because I know in Cairo, were you in Cairo? Or you are not in Cairo? Because I know Cairo is also producing compost. But we are the biggest producer of compost in Africa right now. We're producing about 250 bags of compost every day from our site in Ikorodu. We have a very big site there. And we get this from all the market waste. Market waste, when you do analysis on the market waste, most of the market waste, we have about 98% organic from market waste. Right. We have lumber waste, and the lumber waste are just being burned and stuff like that. So we get the lumber waste and market waste, and then we get it to enrich compost production in Lagos right now. So we're the biggest in Africa right now. So, but because we don't